What did you make of this push from the Victorian Aboriginal lobby? This is all around the voice in Victoria, the treaty in Victoria, despite Victoria, woke Victoria voting against the voice. Well, Jill Gallagher, she's a prominent Aboriginal elder. She's caused a bit of outrage today. She says the treaty should include exemptions for Aboriginal people. She doesn't want them to pay land taxes, stamp duty, council rates. She wants kids to get free university. And today the Victorian Premier would not rule this out, Senator Duniam.
Oh, well, she should rule it out. It's the right thing to do. What is it about the left? They proposed this voice as the answer to all problems faced by Aboriginal Australians. It would have done nothing but create two classes of people in this country based on race. Now we have someone proposing, and perhaps backed in by the Labor government in Victoria, to exempt people from paying taxes based on race. I agree with people like Jacinta Price and Warren Mundine who know a thing or two about this, and it is a bad idea. What I'd love to know is the Victorian government going to extend this silliness to denying these people who don't pay these taxes based on race access to these services too? I mean, where do we stop this division? It's bad policy.
That's a very good point. If you don't want to pay the taxes, well, you don't get any of the services. You don't get the Medicare, you don't get the education, you don't get the roads, you don't get all the things, Terry Barnes, that our taxes, as much as we don't like paying them, actually provide for the nation state.
Absolutely. And look, Premier Allen should stamp on this pronto. This is inverse racism, Peter. Paying for tax is the duty of all citizens, regardless of colour, regardless of social status, regardless of anything. It is not some sort of price for paying for white privilege. So I think the Premier should just absolutely end this once and for all straight away.
Jono, Ken Henry, who you and I will well remember as I regard a quite left head of Treasury, and he did the Henry Review, the tax review that went nowhere. He now chairs the Australian Climate and Biodiversity Foundation. He wants the federal government to set up what he calls a nature repair market connected to carbon credits. Now, how on earth would this operate, and what do you think of the idea?
Well, Ken Henry, as you rightly point out, we recall he, as Secretary of Treasury, is one of those Australians who think the government is the answer to everything. I disagree on this basis. There is a nature repair market that has been legislated. The Labor Party and the Greens got together and rammed a bill through the Senate in recent months, and it's going nowhere. So he's come in and we need to prop it up with some taxpayer dollars. Well, if it's such a cracker scheme and we need to get it going, I'm sure the private sector will step in. What the government could actually do is do what they promised they'd do 2 years ago, deliver legislation to replace the EPBC Act as they promised they would have in Parliament by the end of next year. Instead, we have nothing. And I look forward to telling your viewers in a future program of yours, Peter, exactly what the coalition's going to do to improve our investment status in the world through better environmental laws. That's what the government could do, not prop up a scheme like Ken Henry's proposed.
Yeah, I think I'm about to lose you. Just quickly, Terry, we've got Stephen Jones at a federal level saying he's not going to answer questions about the $61,000 he spent on Comcars. This is to drive him around. He's also got a private plated vehicle paid for by the taxpayer. Most of his staff, says the Australian Financial Review, have quit. That says to me he's in a bit of trouble internally. Surely he's got to front taxpayers and explain why he's racked up such a massive bill.
Oh, absolutely. I think it doesn't matter which side of politics you're on, Peter, you actually have to account for your use of taxpayers' money. And one of the reasons that the government said they wanted to be more transparent is actually put these figures out there. So if the Assistant Treasurer is not willing or able to front up and explain why it is that his travel budget was so high and why his staff are treating his office like a revolving door, then he's back to, oh, look, he's wasting everybody's time. Why is he there?
Well, I think the Prime Minister needs a reshuffle. He needs to go, and a few others too, starting with Claire O'Neill and Andrew Giles. Senator Duniam, Terry Barnes, thank you both for your time.